Tonight, I want to share with you something the Stoics considered the most important meditation of all. It is a truth that most people spend their entire lives avoiding, a thought they push away whenever it surfaces, a reality they pretend doesn't exist because facing it feels too uncomfortable, too heavy, too real. But the ancient Stoics, those remarkable philosophers who shaped Western thought and guided emperors through impossible trials, they faced this truth directly. Every single day, not occasionally, not when circumstances forced it upon them, but as a deliberate practice, a daily discipline, a cornerstone of their philosophy. And in facing it, something remarkable happened. They found not fear, but freedom, not anxiety, but peace, not despair, but absolute clarity about what truly matters in this brief existence we call life. The truth is this: your life is passing. Right now, in this very moment, with every breath you take, with every beat of your heart, with every second that ticks by while you listen to these words, you are running out of time. Now, before you turn away from this thought, before you dismiss it as morbid or dark or something to think about later, understand this: the Stoics were not pessimists. They were not obsessed with death in some unhealthy way. They were realists. They understood that accepting this fundamental truth about existence is not the end of joy, but the beginning of it. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher who ruled the Roman Empire at the height of its power, who commanded legions and shaped the fate of millions, wrote in his private journal words meant only for his own eyes. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This was not pessimism. This was his compass, his source of clarity, his way of cutting through all the noise, all the distractions, all the petty concerns that fill most human lives, to focus on what actually matters. Tonight, as you settle into rest, as your body relaxes and your mind begins to quiet, let this ancient wisdom settle into you as well. The Stoics had a practice they called memento mori. In Latin, it means, remember that you will die. They kept skulls on their desks. They reflected on death at the start of each day and at its end. They spoke of it openly, without fear, without superstition, as simply the most obvious fact of human existence. To modern ears, conditioned by a culture that hides death in hospitals and speaks of it only in whispers, this might sound morbid, dark, something to avoid rather than embrace. But the Stoics understood something that most people never grasp. You cannot live fully until you accept that your life will end. When you truly internalize that your time is limited, not as an abstract concept but as a felt reality, something profound shifts in how you experience every day. The trivial falls away. Those petty arguments that consumed your energy and ruined your peace, they suddenly don't matter quite so much. The grudges you've been carrying, those old wounds you've been nursing, the resentments that have been poisoning your thoughts, they become obviously not worth the precious time they steal. The fears about what others think of you, the constant comparison, the endless striving for approval from people whose opinions ultimately mean nothing, These concerns begin to dissolve in the light of mortality's truth. Marcus Aurelius meditated on death not to depress himself, but to clarify his priorities. In his meditations, he wrote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." Consider the power of that reframing. You have already lived your life. Whatever came before this moment is complete, done, unchangeable. Now, right now, you have been given a second chance, an opportunity to take whatever time remains and use it well. What would living properly mean for you? Not chasing things that don't matter. Not wasting hours on mindless distractions. Not postponing what's truly important until some imaginary future when conditions are perfect. But being present, being kind, being focused on what you actually value rather than what the world tells you to value. Tonight, let that awareness settle gently into your consciousness. Not as pressure, not as anxiety, but as permission. Permission to let go of everything that doesn't serve you. Permission to focus on what truly does. Seneca, the great Roman Stoic who advised emperors and faced exile and death with equal composure, wrote one of the most famous essays in all of philosophical literature. He called it De Brevitate Vitae, or On the Shortness of Life. He wrote it as a letter to his friend Paulinus, who had been complaining, as people have complained throughout all of history, about not having enough time. There was too much to do. The days were too short. Life was rushing by too quickly. Seneca's response was not what his friend expected. He wrote, "It is not that we have a short space of time, but that we waste much of it. Life is long enough, and it has been given in sufficiently generous measure to allow the accomplishment of the very greatest things if the whole of it is well invested. But when it is squandered in luxury and carelessness, when it is devoted to no good end, forced at last by the ultimate necessity, we perceive that it has passed away before we were aware that it was passing." Read that again in your mind. Life is not short. We make it short through distraction, through carelessness, through living as if we have forever. Seneca continued with words that could have been written today. So perfectly do they describe modern life. You are living as if destined to live forever. No thought of your frailty ever enters your head. You don't notice how much time has already passed, but squander it as though you had a full and overflowing supply. Though all the while that day which you bestow on some person or thing is perhaps your last. These words were written 2,000 years ago, and yet they describe how most people live today with startling accuracy. Always busy, but busy with what? Scrolling through feeds, watching shows we won't remember, engaging in activities that leave no mark on our souls or the souls of others. Always planning for someday. Someday I'll pursue what I really want. Someday I'll have that conversation. Someday I'll become the person I know I could be. But someday never comes. There is only today. And today becomes yesterday with terrifying speed. Seneca's message was not meant to create anxiety. Anxiety paralyzes. His message was meant to create urgency of the right kind. Not frantic rushing, but intentional living. Not panic, but presence. Knowing that your time matters and spending it accordingly. If these teachings are resonating with you, if this ancient wisdom is bringing you a sense of peace and clarity, consider subscribing to this channel. Not for metrics or numbers, those things the Stoics would rightfully dismiss as externals beyond our control, but for something more meaningful. Subscribe so that these teachings keep appearing in your life, so that the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and Seneca and Epictetus continues to find you when you need it most. The Stoics believed that philosophy was not something to be studied once and then set aside. It was a daily practice, a discipline requiring constant renewal. Just as the body needs food each day, the soul needs wisdom each day. Subscribing is a small way to ensure that nourishment keeps arriving. Now, let us continue our journey together into the heart of Stoic wisdom about time and mortality and what it means to truly live. Let your body settle deeper into rest as we proceed. Feel the weight of the day beginning to lift from your shoulders. The tasks that occupied your mind, the concerns that demanded your attention, the endless noise of modern existence, let it all begin to fade into the background. There is nothing required of you in this moment except to receive, to rest, to let these words wash over you like a gentle tide, carrying with them the accumulated wisdom of centuries. The Stoics who developed these ideas faced challenges that make our modern struggles seem manageable by comparison. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations while fighting endless wars on the frozen frontier of the empire, watching plague devastate his soldiers, facing betrayal from those he trusted most. Seneca wrote his letters while living in exile, stripped of his position and comfort, uncertain whether he would ever return to Rome. Epictetus developed his philosophy while living as a slave, his leg broken by his master, owning nothing except his thoughts. And yet all three found peace. All three lived with purpose and meaning. All three have guided humanity through 2,000 years of struggle and will continue to guide us for thousands more. Their wisdom is now your companion for the night. Marcus Aurelius asked himself a question that cuts through all pretense and rationalization. A question so simple and yet so profound that it deserves to be tattooed on the consciousness of anyone who wants to live a meaningful life. He asked, "What am I doing with my soul?" Not what am I achieving in the eyes of the world, not what am I acquiring or accumulating, not what title do I hold or what recognition have I earned, but what am I doing with my soul? This question cuts through everything that doesn't matter to reveal everything that does. Because you can be successful by every external measure and still be wasting your life. You can have wealth and status and the admiration of thousands and still feel a gnawing emptiness that nothing seems to fill. You can accomplish everything society tells you to accomplish and still lie awake at night sensing that something essential has been missed. The Stoics knew that a meaningful life is not about accumulation. It's not about having. It's about being. It's about how you spend your days, how you treat others, how you treat yourself, what you cultivate in your own character. Seneca warned specifically about the danger of postponement. Putting things off is the biggest waste of life. It snatches away each day as it comes, and denies us the present by promising the future. The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. Consider what you have been putting off. Perhaps there is a conversation you know you need to have, something that needs to be said, an apology that needs to be offered, a truth that needs to be spoken. But it's uncomfortable, so you wait. You tell yourself you'll do it when the time is right. But the time is never right, and the conversation never happens. Perhaps there is a change you know you need to make in how you live, a habit to break or build, a path to take or leave. But change is hard, so you postpone. Next month, next year, when things settle down. But things never settle down, and the change never comes. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. This the Stoics knew with absolute certainty. The very breath you take right now could be followed by no other. And yet, knowing this does not mean you must frantically do everything tonight. That would be the opposite of Stoic wisdom. Rest is part of living well. Sleep is necessary for the body and mind to function. You honor your life by taking care of yourself. There is something beautiful that happens when you truly accept that your life will end. Something unexpected. Something that seems paradoxical until you experience it for yourself. Accepting mortality makes the present moment infinitely precious. When you stop taking time for granted, when you truly internalize that each day is a gift rather than an entitlement, you start actually living in the time you have, not rushing through it toward some imagined future, not replaying the past in endless loops of regret, but being here, now, fully present in the only moment that actually exists. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." This was not escapism. It was not a denial of the importance of planning or learning from the past. It was a recognition that the present moment is where life actually happens. It's the only time you can experience anything. It's the only place where action is possible. Think about it. You cannot act in the past. It's gone. You cannot act in the future. It doesn't exist yet. You can only act now. You can only experience now. You can only live now. And yet, how much of your life is spent elsewhere? Lost in regret about yesterday, replaying old conversations, rehearsing old wounds, wishing you had done things differently when the time for doing differently has long passed. Lost in anxiety about tomorrow, imagining scenarios that may never happen, worrying about problems that haven't materialized, living through suffering before it arrives, if it ever arrives at all. Lost in a mental movie that isn't real, a simulation running in your head that has nothing to do with the actual life unfolding around you in this precious, unrepeatable moment. The Stoics practiced returning to the present, again and again. It was a cornerstone of their mental discipline. Right now, in this moment, you are alive. Feel that truth. You are breathing. Air is flowing into your lungs and nourishing your body. Your heart is beating as it has beaten billions of times, keeping you alive without any effort on your part. You are resting after a day of living, preparing for another day of living, if you are fortunate enough to receive it. This moment is not a waiting room for the future. This moment is your life. It is happening right now. Perhaps as you listen to these words about time and mortality and living well, something uncomfortable has surfaced. Perhaps you are thinking about time you feel you have wasted. Years that passed in a blur. Opportunities that slipped away. A life that has not been lived as intentionally as you now wish it had been. If regret has arrived, know that you are not alone. The Stoics understood regret deeply. They wrote about it extensively, and they offered wisdom for releasing it that remains as powerful today as it was 2,000 years ago. Seneca wrote, "We are not given a short life, but we make it short, and we are not ill-supplied, but wasteful of it." But notice something important in his words. He says we make it short, present tense, and ongoing. The waste he describes is not something that happened once in the past. It is something that happens continuously, moment by moment, whenever we fail to be present, whenever we postpone what matters, whenever we fill our time with what is easy rather than what is meaningful. This means that while the past cannot be changed, the pattern can be. Whatever time was wasted before this moment has been wasted. That is simply true. No amount of regret will recover a single second. No amount of self-criticism will undo a single poor choice. Regret is a thief. It steals today while pretending to honor yesterday. It consumes your present peace with sorrow over a past you cannot alter. It is perhaps the cruelest form of wasted time, because it wastes the time you have now by lamenting the time you wasted then. Marcus Aurelius approached regret with characteristic directness. He wrote, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." The same logic applies to the past. Whatever happened, you survived it. Whatever mistakes were made, you learned from them, or you can learn from them now. Whatever paths were taken or not taken have led you here to this moment, to this breath, to this opportunity to begin again with whatever time remains. Tonight, if regret visits, acknowledge it gently. Yes, I wish I had done things differently. Yes, I see now what I could not see then. But I cannot change what has passed. I can only honor this moment. I can only begin again from where I actually am, not from where I wish I had been. Marcus Aurelius, despite all his power and all his burdens, despite the endless wars and political intrigues and personal tragedies that filled his life, began each morning with the practice of profound simplicity. Before facing the demands of the day, before the weight of the empire settled onto his shoulders, he paused to recognize something that most people never notice. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This is the paradox at the heart of Stoic wisdom about mortality. When you truly accept that life will end, you become capable of appreciating that it exists at all. When you stop taking your days for granted, each day becomes a gift rather than an obligation. Every sunrise becomes borrowed time. Every breath becomes a small miracle. Every moment of consciousness becomes something to be treasured rather than rushed through on the way to somewhere else. Most people walk through their days as if those days were owed to them, as if there would always be more, as if time were an infinite resource to be spent carelessly because there would always be more to replace it. The Stoic sees it differently. This day was not guaranteed. 1,000 things could have prevented it from arriving. And yet here it is. Here you are. However imperfect the day might have been, however short it fell of your ideals, it was a day of living, a day of experience, a day added to the sum total of your existence that could easily have not occurred. Tomorrow morning, if you wake, and this itself is not guaranteed, consider practicing what Marcus Aurelius practiced. Before reaching for your phone, before listing all the tasks that await, before the machinery of obligation starts running, simply pause for one moment. Feel the air entering your lungs. Feel your heart beating in your chest. And recognize, with genuine appreciation, that you have been given another day, another opportunity, another chance to live well, to love, to learn, to become more fully who you are capable of being. This practice costs nothing. It takes mere seconds, but it has the power to transform how you experience every day that follows. For now, rest and let gratitude for this day, whatever it held, settle gently into your heart. When people approach the end of their lives, when the horizon of mortality becomes impossible to ignore, their perspective changes dramatically. The research on this is remarkably consistent across cultures and circumstances. People who are dying become suddenly clear about what matters, and what they report again and again is not what our culture tells us should matter. They speak of relationships, the love given and received over a lifetime, the people who mattered, the connections that sustained them, not the number of relationships, but their depth, not the impressions they made, but the genuine bonds they formed. They speak of being true to themselves, living according to their own values rather than the expectations others placed upon them, having the courage to be who they actually were rather than performing a role they never chose. They speak of making a difference, contributing something, leaving the world a little better, a little kinder, a little more beautiful than they found it. Not necessarily through grand achievements, but through small acts of service and kindness accumulated over a lifetime. And what is consistently absent from these reflections is equally instructive. No one at the end of their life wishes they had worked more hours, accumulated more possessions, worried more about what others thought of them. No one wishes they had spent more time on trivial distractions or held more grudges or put off more conversations until it was too late to have them. The Stoics understood these truths in their bones, and they did not wait until the end of life to apply them. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little that is poor, but the one who hankers after more." True richness, the Stoics taught, is not about having. It is about appreciating. It is not about acquisition, but about attention. about recognizing what you already have rather than constantly grasping for what you lack. Tonight, as you rest, consider what truly matters to you. Not what you are supposed to value because society tells you to value it. Not what would impress others or meet their expectations, but what actually matters to you in your deepest and most honest self. Who do you love? What kind of person do you want to be? What would you regret leaving undone if tomorrow never came? Let these questions sit gently in your awareness. There is no need to answer them completely tonight. Simply let them be present, like seeds planted in fertile soil. Epictetus was born into slavery. He had no choice in this matter, no control over the circumstances of his birth or the conditions of his early life. His master was cruel, and according to ancient accounts, broke Epictetus's leg either through deliberate cruelty or careless violence. He would walk with a limp for the rest of his days. He owned nothing. He controlled nothing. He was property, not person, in the eyes of Roman law. And yet this man, who had every external reason for bitterness and despair, became one of history's greatest teachers of inner freedom. His words have guided emperors and slaves alike for 2,000 years. His philosophy helped Marcus Aurelius rule an empire with wisdom and restraint. How did he do it? Epictetus discovered something that changed everything. He realized that while he could not control his circumstances, he could control his response to them. While he could not control what happened to his body, he could control what happened in his mind. While he was enslaved externally, he could be completely free internally. He taught, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. And he is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. This is not passive resignation. This is radical freedom. The freedom that comes from recognizing that your experience of life depends not primarily on what happens to you, but on how you interpret and respond to what happens. This applies directly to time and mortality. You cannot add days to your life. That is outside your control. The length of your existence is determined by factors largely beyond your choosing, genetics and chance and circumstances you never asked for. But you can add life to your days. That is entirely within your control. You choose where your attention goes. You can scatter it across 1,000 distractions, or you can focus it on what matters. You choose how you treat others. You can move through the world carelessly, leaving nothing of value behind, or you can bring kindness and presence to every interaction. You choose what you value and pursue. You can chase what society tells you to chase, or you can build a life aligned with your own deepest sense of meaning. These choices, made daily, moment by moment, constitute your actual life. Everything changes. This is not a Stoic opinion. It is an observation about the fundamental nature of reality. The Stoics meditated on impermanence constantly, not to depress themselves, but to align themselves with truth. Fighting against the way things actually are is exhausting and futile. Accepting the way things are is the beginning of peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." Consider how profound that reframing is. What we call loss is simply change. And change is not an aberration or a mistake or a tragedy. It is the fundamental way the universe operates. It is, as Marcus says, nature's delight. The seasons change. This is not sad, it is beautiful. The riot of spring gives way to the fullness of summer, gives way to the harvest of autumn, gives way to the rest of winter. Each season is precious precisely because it does not last. Day becomes night, becomes day again. We do not grieve the sunset because we trust the sunrise will follow. The rhythm continues, and we are part of it. Youth becomes age. What is new becomes old. What lives eventually dies. This is not a flaw in the design. This is the design. Fighting impermanence is fighting nature itself, and that fight cannot be won. You can rage against the passing of time. You can deny the reality of change. You can cling desperately to what was, trying to freeze a moment that has already passed. But time will continue. Change will come. And your resistance will accomplish nothing except to add suffering to what is simply natural. Accepting impermanence is different. It is not giving up. It is not passive resignation. It is mature engagement with reality as it actually is. When you accept that everything passes, you hold things differently, more gently, more gratefully, more presently. This moment will not come again. This exact configuration of circumstances, this particular day in your particular life, is unique in the history of the universe and will never be repeated. The Stoics found this beautiful rather than sad. Every sunset is the last of its kind. Every conversation is singular. Every breath is new and unrepeatable. Seneca practiced a nightly examination that has been adopted by thinkers and leaders for 2,000 years. It is a simple practice, requiring only a few minutes, but its effects compound over a lifetime into profound wisdom and self-knowledge. He described it in his writings. When the light has been taken away and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and retrace my actions and words. I hide nothing from myself. I pass over nothing. This was not self-criticism in the modern sense, that harsh inner voice that attacks and demeans. This was something more like self-education, a patient review, a curious examination, a teacher looking at a student's work with the goal of improvement rather than punishment. The questions Seneca asked himself were simple but penetrating. What did I do well today? What could I have done better? Where did I fall short of who I want to be? And crucially, what did I learn that I can apply tomorrow? Tonight, as you settle toward sleep, you might try this ancient practice, not with judgment, not with harshness, but with the gentle curiosity of someone who genuinely wants to grow. Think back over your day. Let it replay in your mind like a movie you're watching with friendly interest. Was there a moment you were kind? A moment you showed patience or courage or presence? Notice it. Appreciate it. This is you at your best. This is who you are capable of being. Was there a moment you fell short? A moment of impatience, of carelessness, of choosing the easy thing over the right thing? Notice that too, without criticism, without spiraling into shame, simply seeing clearly what happened and what you might do differently next time. Seneca concluded his description of this practice with words that reveal why he did it. My sleep, which follows this self-examination, is particularly sweet. When the day has been consciously reviewed, when its lessons have been extracted, the mind can rest. There is nothing unfinished, nothing unexamined cycling endlessly through your thoughts. The day is complete. You have done what you have done. You have been who you have been. Tomorrow is a new opportunity to do better and be better. Tonight is simply for rest. Musonius Rufus is less famous than his student Epictetus or the emperors who studied Stoic philosophy, but he was one of the most influential teachers of his age. He was known as the Roman Socrates for his ability to challenge people's assumptions and lead them toward truth through patient questioning. Musonius had no patience for philosophy that remained abstract. He was not interested in clever arguments or theoretical debates. He cared only about how philosophy could help people live better, more meaningful, more virtuous lives. He taught, "We will become excellent if we practice excellence and virtue. Therefore, let us practice saying what should be said, doing what should be done, and refraining from what should be avoided." This sounds almost too simple, but consider its implications. You do not become who you want to be by thinking about it. You do not transform yourself through understanding alone. You become who you want to be by doing what that person would do, again and again, day after day, until the doing becomes natural, until the virtue becomes character, until you no longer have to try to be good because being good has become who you are. This is how time well spent actually looks. Not waiting for some future moment when conditions are perfect for transformation. Not planning to become a better person next month or next year when you have more time or more energy or fewer obstacles. But practicing today in small ways the virtues you want to embody. Kindness. Not grand gestures of generosity, but small acts of consideration and care offered to the people you encounter. Patience. Not extraordinary feats of endurance, but the simple practice of not reacting in anger, of giving others the benefit of the doubt, of allowing things to unfold without forcing them. Courage. Not battlefield heroics, but the quiet courage of saying what needs to be said, doing what needs to be done, living according to your values even when it would be easier not to. Presence. Not meditation retreats or mystical experiences, but the ordinary miracle of being where you are, attending to what is before you, not missing your life while searching for something better. Musonius would say, "Do not waste time planning to be good someday. Be good now. in this moment, in small, sustainable ways. Let me tell you about Cato the Younger, a man whose life embodied everything the Stoics taught about using time well and facing mortality with courage. Cato lived during the fall of the Roman Republic, a time of civil war and political upheaval. He was a senator, a soldier, and above all, a man of unshakable principle. His enemies respected him. His friends admired him. Even Julius Caesar, who disagreed with everything Cato stood for, acknowledged his integrity. Cato did not waste time. Every moment of his life was purposeful. He walked barefoot in all weather to toughen himself. He owned little despite his wealth, living simply while others accumulated luxuries. He spoke the truth even when lies would have been easier and safer. When the Republic he had devoted his life to defending finally fell, when Caesar emerged victorious and Cato faced certain capture, he chose his own death rather than submit to tyranny. His final night, according to ancient sources, was spent reading Plato's dialogue on the immortality of the soul. He faced the end with philosophical calm, taking time even in his final hours to contemplate wisdom. I share this story not to suggest that his specific choices should be yours. That was a different time with different circumstances. But notice what his life demonstrated. Time can be used with complete integrity. Every moment can be aligned with your deepest values. You need not drift through life. You can choose deliberately and consistently to live according to what you believe is right. Seneca wrote about Cato with deep admiration. The invincible spirit of Cato, which knew not how to yield to any man, much less to circumstances, held fast to its purpose to the last. You may never face the dramatic choices Cato faced, but you face choices every day about how to spend your time and what kind of person to be. Small choices, cumulative choices, choices that seem insignificant in the moment, but add up over a lifetime to determine whether your time was well spent or wasted. The Stoics would tell you, choose deliberately. Align your time with your values. Let integrity, not circumstances, guide how you live each day. We have been together now for some time, exploring the deepest truths the Stoics discovered about life and death and how to spend our brief existence wisely. These are not easy subjects. They require courage to face and patience to absorb. But now, the time for active contemplation is beginning to pass. The time for rest is approaching. Feel your body as you lie here. Notice how it has been holding you through this entire day. Every muscle that moved you, every breath that sustained you, every heartbeat that kept you alive without any conscious effort on your part. Your body is tired now. It has earned its rest. And rest is not a failure or a weakness. Rest is a fundamental part of living well. The Stoics did not advocate endless striving. They did not teach that every moment must be filled with productive activity. They understood natural rhythms, the rhythm of day and night, the rhythm of effort and restoration, the rhythm of engagement and withdrawal. Marcus Aurelius slept. Despite all the pressures of empire, despite the endless demands on his attention, he stopped each night and rested. Seneca slept. After his evening examination, after his self-review, he surrendered to the darkness and trusted the morning to come. Epictetus slept. Even as a slave, even with nothing external to call his own, he had this: the rest that the body demands and deserves. Sleep is not wasted time. Sleep is necessary for the mind to consolidate what it has learned. Sleep is necessary for the body to repair what the day has worn. Sleep is necessary for the soul to process what it has experienced. So rest now without guilt. This is not abandoning the project of living well. This is honoring the body that carries you through life. This is preparing for tomorrow so that tomorrow can be met with full capacity rather than depleted reserves. Let your breath deepen naturally. Let your muscles release whatever tension they are holding. Let the night receive you as it has received countless humans through all the ages. Whatever happened today is now complete. The day has run its course. The sun has set, and no amount of wishing or regretting or analyzing can add another moment to what has already passed. The conversations you had are finished. The words spoken cannot be unspoken. The words left unsaid will have to wait for another day, if another day comes. The tasks you completed are done. The tasks left undone will still be there tomorrow, and worrying about them tonight accomplishes nothing except to steal your rest. The moments of joy, if there were any, let them warm you as you drift toward sleep. Hold them gently in your memory. They are part of you now, woven into the fabric of your experience. The moments of struggle, if there were any, let them rest as well. You faced what you faced. You did what you did. Tomorrow is an opportunity to do better, but tonight is not the time for planning or problem solving. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work,' as a human being. But at night, the work is finished. The human being rests. The role you played today, whatever it required of you, is complete. You can set it down now. You do not need to carry it into sleep. Imagine the day as a heavy bag you have been carrying. It contained everything that happened, everything you did and said and thought. Everything that was demanded of you and everything you demanded of yourself. Now, set it down. Feel the relief of not carrying anything for a while. Feel how your shoulders drop when the weight is released. Feel how your whole body can relax when nothing is required of it. Tomorrow will bring its own bag to carry, its own demands, its own challenges and opportunities. But that is tomorrow. Tonight, there is only rest, only surrender, only the gentle release of everything that was into what will be. You have done what you could with this day. You showed up. You tried. You lived through it. That is all anyone can do, and it is enough. There is a peace that becomes available only when you stop fighting reality. A peace that cannot be achieved through effort or willpower or positive thinking, but only through surrender to what is. The Stoics called this acceptance the key to tranquility. Not passive resignation, not giving up on making things better, but accepting fully and completely the present moment as it actually is. Epictetus taught this as the very heart of Stoic practice. Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. Read those words again in your mind. Don't demand that things happen as you wish. Let go of the constant insistence that reality conform to your preferences. Let go of the exhausting battle against what is already so. But wish that they happen as they do happen. This is not passive. This is active acceptance. A deliberate choice to align your will with reality rather than setting it against reality in a fight you cannot win. And you will go on well. This is the promise. Not that everything will be easy, not that you will get what you want, but that you will be at peace. You will stop suffering needlessly over things you cannot change. Tonight, practice this radical acceptance. Accept that the day unfolded as it did. Whatever happened, happened. Your opinions about whether it should have happened differently are irrelevant now. It is done. Accept that your life is exactly where it is, not where you wish it were, not where you planned for it to be, but where it actually is. This is your starting point. This is where all forward movement must begin. Accept that tomorrow is uncertain. You do not know what it will bring. You cannot control most of what will happen. And that is okay. It has always been this way. You have made it through every uncertain day so far. This acceptance is not weakness. It is not giving up on improvement or effort. It is simply releasing the exhausting resistance to what already is, so that your energy can be directed toward what can actually be changed. The darkness that surrounds you now is not something to fear. It is kind. It asks nothing of you. It expects nothing. It simply holds space for rest. In the light of day, there are demands. People who need things from you. Tasks that require your attention. Decisions that must be made. The endless stimulation of a world that never stops asking for more. But in the darkness, you can simply be. The Stoics respected natural cycles because they understood that human beings are part of nature, not separate from it. Day is for activity. Night is for rest. Each serves its purpose. Each is necessary. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the rhythms of the cosmos, how everything in the universe follows its ordained course. The sun rising and setting, the moon waxing and waning, the stars wheeling through their eternal patterns. You are part of these rhythms. Your body knows when to rest. Your mind, if you let it, knows how to release the day. Your soul, if you give it space, knows how to find peace in the darkness. Trust the night. It has held humanity through billions of nights. Your ancestors, going back through countless generations, all surrendered to this same darkness. They trusted it enough to close their eyes and let consciousness dissolve. And morning came, and life continued. Trust your body. It knows the way to sleep. It has been doing this your entire life without needing instructions or management. The systems that will carry you through the night are already in place, already functioning, already moving you toward the rest you need. Let go of trying to sleep. Trying creates tension, and tension prevents the very thing you're trying to achieve. Let go of thinking about sleep. Analysis keeps the mind active, and an active mind cannot sink into rest. Simply let the darkness do what darkness does. Wrap you in rest. Carry you through until dawn. Restore what the day has depleted. This is the natural way. This is what night is for. Trust it. Follow it. If your mind wanders, if thoughts about the day just passed or the day to come begin to pull at your attention, you have an anchor always available: your breath. The Stoics used breath as a way to return to the present moment, not as a technique to be mastered, but as a simple reminder that you are here, now, alive in this body, experiencing this moment. Feel the breath entering your body. Cool air flowing through your nostrils, down your throat, filling your lungs. Your chest rising gently, your diaphragm expanding. Feel the breath leaving your body. Warm air flowing out, your chest falling, your body relaxing slightly with each exhale. This breath is happening now, only now, not in the past where your regrets live, not in the future where your worries wait. Now, this moment, this breath. You do not have to control the breath. You do not have to breathe in any special way. Simply notice what is already happening. The breath continues without your effort. It has continued your entire life without you directing it. This is a small miracle if you consider it. Your body keeps you alive without any conscious effort on your part. While you work, while you sleep, while you worry about things that may never happen, your body just continues breathing. Heart continues beating. Systems continue functioning. Trust that process now. Let breathing happen on its own. Let your body do what it knows how to do. In, out, in, out. Each breath is complete in itself. Each breath is sufficient. You do not need to plan the next breath or evaluate the last one. Just this breath, just now. No thoughts to hold on to, no worries to carry, no problems to solve. Only breath, only now, only rest. Before sleep takes you completely, let gratitude visit for a moment. Not forced gratitude that you manufacture because you think you should, but genuine awareness of what is actually present in your life. The Stoics practiced gratitude constantly because they understood its power. Gratitude shifts attention from what is lacking to what is present, from scarcity to abundance, from anxiety to peace. You are here. You made it through another day. However difficult or disappointing or imperfect that day may have been, you are still here to reflect on it. That alone is not nothing. You have a place to rest tonight, a place of safety and shelter. Many in this world do not. Many through history have not. You have something that most humans who have ever lived would consider extraordinary luxury. You have this moment of peace. However briefly, the demands of the world have paused. No one is asking anything of you right now. You can simply be. Many people never find such moments, or find them so rarely that they hardly remember what peace feels like. Epictetus, who had nothing as a slave and was prohibited from owning anything, taught gratitude. Seneca, who had enormous wealth and then lost it all in exile, taught gratitude. Marcus Aurelius, who carried the weight of an empire and watched children die and faced betrayals and plagues, began each morning with gratitude for being alive. Gratitude does not depend on circumstances. This is perhaps the most important thing to understand. It is not something that happens automatically when life is good. It is a practice of attention, a deliberate choice to notice what is there rather than fixating on what is missing. Tonight, let gratitude be simple. Thank you for this day, whatever it held. Thank you for this rest, which my body needs. Thank you for whatever small goodness found me, whatever kindness was shown, whatever beauty passed through my awareness, even if only briefly. That is enough. Gratitude does not need to be elaborate. It does not need to catalog everything you should be thankful for. A simple recognition, a moment of appreciation, and then rest. You are safe now. Whatever dangers the day held, real or imagined, they are not present in this moment. Whatever challenges await tomorrow have not arrived yet. Right now in this darkness, in this quiet, you are safe. The thinking mind is not needed now. All day it has worked for you, solving problems, making decisions, processing information, worrying about outcomes, planning, remembering, analyzing, judging. It has earned its rest. Let it rest. The planning mind is not needed now. Tomorrow's tasks can wait for tomorrow. The strategies and preparations and considerations that fill your waking hours have no place here. Let them wait outside the door of sleep. They will still be there in the morning. The worrying mind is not needed now. Whatever you fear, whatever keeps you vigilant during the day, you can set it down for these hours. The darkness will hold you. Your body will continue its work of keeping you alive. You do not need to stand guard over yourself while you sleep. Let yourself sink. Like settling into warm water, the warmth surrounding you, supporting you, accepting the weight of your body completely. Like resting on a cloud, soft and supportive, held by something gentle that asks nothing in return, except that you let go. Like coming home after a long journey, the relief of finally arriving, the exhaustion giving way to peace, the struggle ending and rest beginning. Sleep builds tomorrow's strength. Without it, you would be depleted, unable to meet what the day requires. This rest is not optional. It is essential. Sleep restores what the day has used. Every cell in your body will work through the night to repair and regenerate. This is not passive time. This is active restoration. Sleep processes what you have experienced. Dreams, whatever their meaning, serve the mind's need to integrate and consolidate. Let that process happen. Rest deeply now. You have permission. You have need. You have nothing else that requires your attention. The night holds you now as it has held every human who ever lived. This darkness is ancient. This rest is part of the oldest rhythm our species has known. Your ancestors, going back to the very first humans, lay down at night and trusted the darkness. They had no electric lights, no screens to distract them, only the fading light of fire and then the vast embrace of night. They survived. They slept. Morning came, and they rose to meet another day. You are connected to them through the simple act of surrender. Every night, you join the countless billions who have closed their eyes and let consciousness dissolve, trusting that it would return with the sun. Tomorrow will bring its own gifts and challenges. There will be problems to solve, people to meet, decisions to make. There will be moments of frustration and moments of grace. There will be the continuing project of living a meaningful life. But tomorrow is not here yet. And when it comes, you will meet it. The Stoics understood that each night is a kind of small death, a release of consciousness, a surrender of control, a trust in something larger than the individual self. And each morning is a small rebirth, a new beginning, a fresh opportunity, another chance to live according to your values and make something meaningful of the hours you are given. Trust the night. It has never failed to pass. Trust the process of rest. Your body knows how to sleep, has been doing it successfully since before you had any conscious thoughts about it. Trust that morning will come. The sun has risen every day for billions of years. It will rise again, and you will be there to greet it, rested, restored, ready. The rhythm is ancient, natural, safe. Let it carry you now. Sleep is very close now. You can feel it at the edges of your awareness. A softness, a heaviness, a gentle pulling toward unconsciousness. Do not fight it. Do not try to hold on to wakefulness. Let the transition happen naturally, as it wants to happen, as your body knows how to make it happen. Your eyes are heavy. Let them be heavy. Your body is still. Let it be still. Your mind is growing quiet, the thoughts that filled it becoming distant, less urgent, less defined. Let them fade. The wisdom of the Stoics that we explored tonight has settled into you. It will continue to work through the night, below the level of conscious thought. Ideas have a way of integrating themselves while we sleep, making new connections, finding their place in our understanding. You do not need to remember everything that was said. You do not need to catalog the insights or make plans for how to apply them. That can come later. For now, Simply let the wisdom be present, like a seed planted in fertile soil. It will grow in its own time. It will bear fruit when you need it. Tomorrow you may find yourself seeing things slightly differently. You may notice time passing and feel, instead of anxiety, a sense of its preciousness. You may face a choice about how to spend an hour and find that you choose more wisely than you might have before. You may remember, in a moment of stress or distraction, that your days are numbered, and find that this memory clarifies rather than frightens. But that is for tomorrow. Now there is only sleep. Deep, peaceful, restorative sleep. Let it come. As you drift toward sleep, let me leave you with the words of those ancient teachers who understood life and death and time as well as anyone ever has. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, words meant only for himself, words that have guided millions through the centuries since. Never value anything as profitable that compels you to break your promise, lose your self-respect, hate any man, suspect, curse, act the hypocrite, or desire anything that needs walls or curtains. Value what is truly valuable. Spend your precious time on what truly matters. Live like you understand that life is a gift that can be withdrawn at any moment. Seneca, in his letters that have survived 2,000 years, wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. Do not mortgage today for a tomorrow that may not come. Be here, now, fully present in the only moment you actually have." Epictetus, the former slave who became one of the great teachers of wisdom, said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." You are rich already if you know how to appreciate what you have. You are free already if you stop grasping for what you don't need. These are the Stoic teachings, not abstract philosophy for scholars to debate, but practical wisdom for anyone who wants to live well and die at peace. They are yours now. They have become part of you through this night of reflection. Let them settle. Let them integrate. Let them become not just ideas you've heard, but truths you've absorbed. And now, rest. Sleep now. Deep, peaceful, restorative sleep. Your time is precious. The Stoics have reminded you of this tonight. And right now, the most precious use of your time is rest. You have contemplated mortality, not to create fear, but to clarify life. You have remembered that your days are numbered, not to create anxiety, but to sharpen your priorities. You have received the wisdom of those who came before, who faced their own deaths with courage and lived their lives with intention. Now let it all go. Let go of the thoughts. Let go of the insights. Let go of everything except this moment, this breath, this surrender to sleep. Tomorrow, if it comes, will be a gift. You will wake, and you will have another day to spend wisely or waste carelessly. Let tomorrow's choices wait for tomorrow. Tonight, there is only rest. only peace. Only the gentle embrace of sleep. The Stoics who taught you tonight have been at rest for 2,000 years. Their words remain. Their wisdom endures. But they themselves have returned to the great cycle of nature from which we all come and to which we all return. You will join them one day, but not tonight. Tonight, you simply rest. And tomorrow, you live. Good night. May your sleep be deep. May you wake with clarity. May your time, however much remains, be spent well. Sleep now.